Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday, June 12th, and welcome back to another week of vlogging. I hope you guys aren't sick of it, but you all seem to have been enjoying the studio vlogs, so I figured I would just give it a go for another week and yeah, and see how it goes. So I have already been in the studio for a few hours. As usual, I got my early start on Tuesdays. I've done a little bit of emailing and admin. Tuesday is kind of my first day of the week. I usually actually take Sunday, Monday off. So I caught up with that and then have just been trying to finish a few of these portfolio pieces. Yeah, so this week I am planning on finishing the portfolio pieces that I've been working on for the past month, or at least most of them, getting them scanned in and getting those images processed so that I can add them to my portfolio. And then along with that, I'll also do some of my social media scheduling using Buffer. Yeah, so that is one thing. And then I also was contacted last week by ArtStar, who already carry a couple of my pieces as exclusive prints there, and they wanted to know if I would do a few more exclusive pieces for them. So I think I'm going to try to start tackling that this week. So I need to actually go to the store and get some supplies for it and set up the reference photos for that. And then on the note of reference photos, on last week's vlog, there were a number of questions about reference photos and how to use reference photos and whether it's okay to use other people's photos as references. So I think I'm going to make a couple of videos about it. The window's open. I hope it's not too loud, but it's stuffy in here. Anyway, I think I'm going to make a couple of videos about it. I asked you guys on Instagram, I showed you the videos that the questions that I am planning on answering in the first video, which will focus on using other people's photos and images as references and when it's okay and when it's not. So I posted in my Insta stories, and it sounds like there aren't any more questions of what I'm going to answer, so I hope it will be thorough. But yeah, from what I've heard from you guys on here and on Twitter and Instagram, it sounds like it's a subject that has some anxiety associated with it, which I can definitely relate to. So hopefully I'll be able to address a lot of that. Yeah, so I want to film that video this week, and then am planning, working on the planning for my next Skillshare class as well. So those are kind of the four big things. I have some small client projects that I won't be able to show, but those four things are the things that I will be visibly working on in the vlog this week. And yeah, before I get back to the drawing, I figured I would show you guys. I already showed you in last week's vlog. Trying to remember which of these pieces were finished and which ones I've made additional changes to, but this one I know is different. Actually, I can show you kind of a comparison here. Let's turn this around. So these are two different pieces. One of them is, this one is finished. This watermelon piece is finished, and the coffee cherries here are not. But what I wanted to show you guys was that they have very similar color palettes, and both of them I'm working from, like this one I'm working mainly from one photo, but I have adapted it in some places. This one is from a few different photos. Oh my gosh, that is so loud. Hold on, I'm going to close the window. Anyway, yes, this one I'm working from a few different photos that have been adapted and brought together. And I didn't create a digital mock-up. I just kind of have done it in my head as I've been drawing it. But yeah, so this piece, I don't know if it's going to come through here. I took some photos, so those will be on social media. Adjusting the exposure here. This piece I tried to be a lot looser and more textural, so you can see there are a lot of like really visible marks, and I didn't do any blending with Gamsol. I just left it. So it's on Reeves BFK, so it's a smoother paper to begin with, but I intentionally incorporated a lot more texture and tried to get a little bit looser and more stylized. And then this one, isn't finished yet. This still just has the same, this is at the same point that it was when I showed you guys last week. So it is Hydrus watercolor and then some brush pens, some Arteza brush pens just in the shadows of the cherries. But with this one, I'm trying to be much more exact, and I'm not going to have a lot of surface texture. So this will, I mean, I feel like you can already see that aspect of it coming through. Yeah, this one I'm trying to be much more precise and I guess scientific with it. And this one I was trying to be more expressive. So I don't know if that difference comes across or if you guys can see it, but they look really different to me. And I like to include both kinds of work in my portfolio because both of those, well, I feel like any client that comes to me is coming because they want some form of realism, but sometimes it's because they want realism that has that interesting textural look. And then sometimes it's because they just want like straight scientific realism. So I'd like to have both represented in my portfolio. Yeah, so right now I'm going to work on finishing the coffee cherry painting and then hopefully do some scanning. Should get a shorter chair. It is Wednesday. It's about 10 o'clock. I have already been in the studio for a couple of hours. I actually just finished live streaming on Instagram a little bit, and I'm going to try to do that more. I've done it a little bit in the past, but you guys seem to like it. So be sure you're following me at Kendyll on Instagram to catch it the next time I do that. I was just working on this piece. Well, now the exposure setting needs to be different, but focus on the piece. It's the coffee cherries that you saw in yesterday's vlog, or part of this vlog that was yesterday. And I was just, oh my gosh, it's so loud. I was just finishing with a little bit of this, which is the Luminous Red from Holbein Aquila, Holbein's Aquila line gouache rather. And I did that because the red of the coffee cherries it just didn't look quite, luminous enough. And that is a problem. I've talked about that in other videos, but that can be a challenge with reds. They just tend to not look as vibrant as they do in real life. So I have a few different approaches for dealing with that. Sometimes I'll use a neon colored pencil, even an orange one or a pink one. But neither of those have really worked well in this case, so I just did little touch-ups with the Holbein Aquila, and I think it worked out well. So I have finished several portfolio pieces now. So today I'm probably going to do some scanning and photography. Yeah, I think I'll probably do some photography today. I've been trying to take better pictures. Sometimes I'm just like rushing so much that I can't be bothered to do the pictures, but I've really been trying to step up my game and get better with lighting and exposure and all of that, which is why sometimes the settings on my camera are funny, because I'm going back and forth between shooting artwork and vlogging, and I don't want to change the settings. Yeah, so I wanted to answer a question came in, I think it was after last week's vlog, and it came in among all of the questions about reference images and dealing with reference images and how I use them, etc. And I am not going to address this question in a reference image video, so I thought I would answer it now. And it's basically just how do I choose what to draw. So there are a few different ways that happens. So obviously the main one and the most obvious one is when clients come to me, they pretty much always have something in mind. Very occasionally, if it's a private commission, they'll come to me and just say like, hey, I want something of yours, I want a piece of yours, I like this kind of food, but they don't have like a very specific thing in mind. That's very, very rare, but almost always the client has something really specific that they want. And especially with the style that I do, like the more straightforward, realistic style, they're not necessarily looking for me to interpret or come up with like any kind of awesome idea, excuse me, the way that they are with like really kind of more abstract or conceptual editorial artists. So yeah, way number one is just the client says, here, this is what we want you to draw, please draw it. And then the other way I would decide if it's like a personal piece or a piece that I'm making for my portfolio, I either usually, I'm trying to think of like the categories, I might pick something that I think is really challenging and I want to improve my skills on that particular subject or in that particular area. So for example, like I've been working, I haven't in the last 6 weeks or so, but I have been working a lot more on figures and portraits just because I want to improve in that area. And what's another area would be like if I think that there, or another reason why I would choose to do a particular subject is if I think there's a gap in my portfolio. So like if I have, so for example, I have a ton of food and like sweet stuff and pastries in my portfolio. So over the last couple years, I've been working to add more like savory stuff and more objects and more plants. And very specifically recently, I think I have already talked about this in the video actually, I've been doing more packaging illustration and I really like it. So I'm wanting to add more stuff that looks like sorry for the noise. Wanting to add more stuff that looks like packaging illustration to my portfolio. And that's because you should present the type of work that you want to be hired for. And I do still love doing editorial illustration and I want to keep doing it, but I just have really enjoyed the process of packaging illustration. So that is, for example, why I did this piece, because I noticed that a lot of packaging illustration, it has the entire subject. So it wouldn't just be like the one coffee cherry, it would like show the coffee cherry in its environment. That's the thing that's popular in packaging illustration. This could also fall under scientific illustration, which I would like to do more of as well. And then this watermelon piece that I showed yesterday, yeah, this one was definitely like 100% like I am wanting this to look like a packaging illustration. So again, it's pretty common in packaging illustrations to have like, sorry about the exposure, but I'll see if I can fix it. Nope. Is that a little better? That's a little better. It's common to have the element itself, like the main element, and then to show it in a couple of different ways. So like we have the whole watermelon, the cut watermelon, and then like some leaves and vines and a little blossom right there. So showing a few different, showing the subject in a few different ways, like that's pretty common for packaging illustration. So that's why I came up with this composition, and I will talk about this in the reference images video, but like for this one, and I think I even said this yesterday, this one was a few different images that I'm working from, and I just came up with the composition myself because yeah, I'm wanting it to look like a packaging illustration. So if I was wanting it to look more artsy or I don't know, like more avant-garde, I would have done a different composition, but I wanted it to look fairly traditional. Yeah, so adding the leaves and the vines and stuff around the watermelon helps give it that feel. And then so yeah, I guess those reasons are like the client would tell me to do it, I want to be challenged by it, and then adding it to my portfolio, like having a specific thing that I want to add to my portfolio. And occasionally, this was in last week's vlog, occasionally I will see a cool image and I will talk about how I find images and places that are okay to use other people's images, because you do have to be really careful. Occasionally I will see an image that I just think is really interesting and I like it and I want to look at it more, so I will decide to paint it or draw it. And even in that situation, like this one, this piece is taken largely from a single reference photo that I didn't take. It was someone else's reference photo that was a public domain reference photo. So even in that situation, I usually still make changes. So you might not notice this unless you were, well, you wouldn't notice it unless you were staring at it side by side with the reference photo. But in the reference photo, these two beans are basically like this corner and this corner of beans are basically the same exact color. So I wanted to change that because I wanted it to look more like a gradient of how coffee beans look at each stage of the roasting process. And a client that I would love to work for, and they've never contacted me, and it's probably a total pipe dream, but I would love to work for Starbucks because I worked there when I was in high school and college. It's where I met Eric, and I still love coffee, and I just think it would be really cool to do illustrations for Starbucks. So that's one reason why I've been trying to do more coffee stuff recently. Yeah, and I remember from Starbucks, like we used to have, I don't think the stores have them anymore, but back in the day they used to have like these plastic cylinders kind of built into the counter that would have coffee beans at each stage of the roasting process. So that was how I remembered like the different colors that they are. And I saw this reference image and I thought it would be pretty good for the proportions overall. So I tweaked the colors to be more, oh, and then I darkened these. These ones were lighter in the reference, but yeah, so I tweaked the colors to be more the way that I wanted them, and the reference had a gray background, and I wanted to have a bluer background because there's a lot of yellow and orange in the coffee beans, so I thought the blue would work well with that. So yeah, those are, I guess, 4 ways that I would choose a reference. The client tells me I want to be challenged by something, or I want to add it to my portfolio, or occasionally I'm just inspired by an image that I see or a subject that I see in real life. So yes, what am I going to do now? I think at this point I'm going to try to take some photos. I'm having a lot of anxiety that you guys are not going to be able to hear anything I'm saying because it's so loud, but it's too hot to have the windows closed. Yeah, so I'm going to take some photos, and I think I might actually try to film a video today. I don't know if I'm going to do the reference images video or if I'm going to do the white highlighter video, but yeah, I'll be filming something. You guys will see this video on Friday, so probably this other video won't be up until next week, but yeah, I'll film. I'm going to do some photography, and yeah, that will be it for the morning probably. I don't think I'll be able to get much more than that done before lunch. All right, it is about 12:30, and I just put Penelope down for her nap and had some lunch, and now I'm straightening up because I'm going to set up, stage, and take some reference photos for a project. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but I'm doing some new paintings, some new exclusive pieces for ArtStar. So I'm going to take those photos, and they're going to be of ice cream. The paintings are going to be of ice cream. So I just bought, like, I think I got 4 different kinds of ice cream in things that I thought would be, colors that I thought would be interesting. I'm just walking around picking stuff up here. Hope you're not getting dizzy. Anyway, got 4 different colors, got some waffle cones, and I also bought online a little stand to hold the cone. So I'm going to set all that up and take some reference photos. Looks like I actually got 5 flavors: mint chip, black raspberry, strawberry, and vanilla. And I chose, oh, and birthday cake. And I chose them based primarily on their colors. Hi guys, it is Thursday. It's like 3 o'clock, so I'm getting a late start with the vlog, and that is because on Thursdays I don't really start work until like 11:30 or sometimes 12. A babysitter comes in the afternoon and early evening on Thursdays, so today I went to the gym and yeah, then put Penelope down for her nap, and babysitter came when she was down, so I was working in my bedroom for the first part of the day so that Penelope could sleep in here, and I was just doing stuff on the computer. And it's been super boring because for literally like the past 3.5 hours, 3 hours, all I've been doing is uploading images and sorting through images and deleting things. At the end of, like towards the end of my working day yesterday, I scanned those, some of those pieces, the portfolio pieces that you saw me working on. So I did edit those. I did a little bit of image editing, but mostly I've just been like slogging through process photos and photos that will go on social media. And yeah, I've been doing that for a few hours now, and it's super boring. So I didn't feel like just filming myself sitting at the computer. But I'm just getting to the part that might be actually a little bit interesting to you guys. So I thought I would show you. And you saw me taking the process photos, the reference photos yesterday for these new ArtStar paintings. And I shared just a little bit of that footage, but when I do the whole video about like how I take my reference photos, I will explain all that and explain everything that's going. So watch everything that's going on. So watch out for that video. Watch out. I'm in a weird mood. All right. These are all of the photos I took yesterday. Some of them I took with my iPhone, and iPhone photos are generally totally fine. I work a lot from iPhone photos. And then some I took, so I think, are these the iPhone ones? I'm pretty sure those are the iPhone ones. I honestly don't know yet which ones were the iPhone ones, and that should show you how decent iPhone is. Yeah, so I've got like all of these. I don't know how many. Let me set down the camera and see. So I took about 90 with the iPhone, and then another 50 or so with the G7X. Sometimes I will take reference photos with my DSLR, but the lens I usually have on there is a prime lens, and so it has like it's specifically for getting that nice depth of field, which is beautiful in a photo, but in a reference image you actually want most of the subject in focus. I will talk about that in the reference images video. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is sort through, actually let me set this down. Crib in the background. Sort through and pick out my favorite images, and I think I'm gonna actually like remove the background in Photoshop just to like take away the distraction of my kitchen table and all of that stuff. So I'll pick my favorite ones, remove the background, and do any image editing that I want to do, and then I will just send them to ArtStar. And this is like a little bit of a different situation because it's not like fully a client relationship where I would do a sketch and then they would approve the sketch and then I would do the final and then they would get to make, you know, little tweaks or edits. It's, I'm more just like creating these because they requested them, and then they'll have an exclusive right to carry them, and I get royalties from it. So I show them like a photo mock-up just as a courtesy, but basically I will paint what I want to paint, and there isn't going to be any sort of a revision process. So yeah, I'll choose a few, and you know, probably it's going to be like 2 or 3. So I have a ton of other images here that I'm going to be able to use for other paintings and other projects in the future, which is nice. I knew since I was going to be getting the ice cream and getting the cones and like doing all of that setup that I wanted to have more images than I would need just for this project. So it was just nice to take advantage of that. So that's where that is. And now I'm going to look at 150 ice cream photos. All right, so I hope you guys can see this. I picked out 6 images that I'm going to send to them. We'll probably pick 2 or 3 to turn into paintings. And then I've done just some very basic mock-ups, like I've cut out the background and then put these over some kind of pastel color backgrounds, since we talked about doing that. So I've got this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. I think that's it. Good morning, guys. It is Friday. I didn't wrap up the vlog yesterday, but I was just going to go ahead and end it there anyway, since I will be editing and uploading this morning. But yesterday afternoon or evening, sometime after I was done filming, I ended up seeing, which I'm sure many of you have seen by now as well, the news from Etsy that they are raising their fees. And they have been up until now 3.5% on each sale. Now they're raising it to 5%, plus that's going to be calculated based off of the total cost of shipping, which for like international orders will be a significant difference, because unfortunately the shipping for those is pretty expensive. So I do my best to like keep it as low as possible, but anyway, just it is what it is. So reading that Etsy is going to be increasing those fees was definitely a bummer. And I've been seeing all kinds of different reactions online, and people saying like, oh, I'm leaving Etsy. And some people more optimistic that it's going to be a good thing in the end, because Etsy's reasoning for doing it is that they're gonna charge the sellers more so that they can spend more doing promo and like advertising and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to like share some of my thoughts, because it seems like it's kind of big news for the independent freelance artists and creator community. So my initial thought is just that I am going to try to start. I've been wanting to do this for a while anyway, and I've had my own originals shop on my website for a while now. Like if you've bought an original from me, you know that's where I sell all of my originals. I don't generally do those on Etsy. So for a while now, I have been wanting to also have prints on my shop, and just have been kind of lazy because I have, you know, I did my whole Etsy overhaul not that long ago, like with adding the stickers and postcards and all that stuff. So it's been just this perennial item on my to-do list to also create a store with parallel inventory to my Etsy, but just on my own self-hosted or my own personal e-commerce platform. It's not self-hosted, Squarespace hosts it. Anyway, so I'm just going to try to take this as good motivation to do that sooner. So hopefully within the next month, I'll get that set up. And my initial thought is that I'm going to keep the prices on my own personal shop. I'm going to keep those the same as like what they are now on Etsy. But then as soon as I do open my personal shop, I'm going to increase the prices on Etsy, and just like say pretty loud and clear here and on social media and on different places, like if you want to pay the lower price, like go to my website basically. So hopefully that will help bring the traffic there. And in the meantime, I can still kind of have like a foothold in Etsy in case things do turn out well there. Like, I don't know for sure whether the increasing fees, I mean, I feel like most people's reaction has just been like, oh, this is bad, this is going to hurt me. And maybe it will. I mean, obviously it will cost more, but my hope is that if I can increase the price a little bit, that will defray the additional cost. And then maybe there is still just the possibility that it would turn out to be a good thing with how much they're going to supposedly be spending on promo and advertising. So that is my plan at the moment. So I'll make an announcement here again, like when the shop on my website is open, but I won't increase the prices on Etsy until that happens. So yeah, if you are just like only wanting to buy on Etsy and wanting to get something at the current prices, then yeah, by all means, you should do that like within the next couple of weeks because I'm going to try to set a date for myself at like a month from now. So mid-July, late July, I will have the new shop up and running, and then I'll increase the Etsy prices probably by like I'll have to do the math for the smaller things, for like the stickers and the postcard packs and stuff. But I think for the prints, they'll go from being 25 for an 8x10 to 30 for an 8x10. And that is more than the 5% increase. But part of that is also because I want to incentivize people to go to my shop. So yeah, that's my current thoughts on the matter. I don't know if you're an Etsy seller or somebody who has relied a lot on Etsy in the past. Let me know in the comments like what your thoughts are and what you're planning to do. I feel like this is an interesting moment just to see what happens. Yeah, I think that was it. Oh, I'm getting a low battery signal, so I'm going to take that as a sign that I should end. All right, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!